This is Dr. Bradshaw, and this film is intended for my students in Rad 2612. This is page 4 of the structural analysis set of notes, and on this page we are looking at the condition of curves, and that would be the lordosis of the cervical and lumbar area and the kyphosis of the thoracic area. Now for the cervical area on the lateral cervical view, the first dot is put in the center of the anterior tubercle. So center of the anterior tubercle. The second dot is put in the center of the posterior tubercle. Center of the posterior tubercle. You line your straight edge up with those two dots and you draw a line all the way across your film. The second line is parallel to the inferior end plate of C7. This one happens to be C6. This one happens to be C7. And right here is the bottom of this. I'm not sure that's going to show up on the camera. Here's the back corner of the body. And so I am using this, lining up with the end plate. Don't use spurs. And so I need to move up just a little bit to make sure that I'm on the end plate and draw the second line. And then I will construct perpendicular lines to those two lines, and so I will simply put my protractor at a 90-degree angle to the first line, and I will construct a perpendicular line down and a perpendicular line up. And I want to measure the angle created by those two lines. So I will put the base of my protractor over one of the lines, the whole of the protractor at the junction of those two lines, and I am measuring from here to here, which on this film would be about 27 degrees, and so this one is measuring about 27 degrees. Now, normal range for a cervical lordosis is 35 to 45 degrees with an average of 40. Normal range is 35 to 45 with an average of 40. Now, I'm going to move up to the wall view box, so hold on to your seat. I'm simply going to move my camera and do a lateral lumbosacral view. I need to pan out a little bit. And so we are going to do a lumbar film for a thoracic view, which I didn't bring a thoracic view home with me, but you would do it exactly the same way, except for you would use the superior vertebral end plate of T1 and the inferior vertebral end plate of T12. In the textbook there's a chart for thoracic kyphosis. You do not have to memorize that chart, but there are three things that I hope that you notice when you look at that chart. One is that the angles vary by age group. 2 is that the angles increase with age, and 3 is that the angles increase more rapidly in females. And so when you keep those three things in your mind, you should be aware that two patients that come into your office would not necessarily have the same thoracic kyphosis because they don't necessarily fall in the same age group. Alright, so doing the same thing on the lateral lumbosacral view, the first line would be parallel to the superior end plate of L1. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So I'm going to do L1, and for lumbars I'm going to do S1, and so the second line is parallel to the superior end plate of S1. I want to construct my lines that are perpendicular on the concave side, so in this case I will be behind the spinuses. Draw a perpendicular line. Perpendicular line, and measure the angle created by these two lines. Put the base over one of the lines, put the hole of the protractor at the junction of these two lines, and I measure the angle right here, and so from here to here is an angle that measures about 70 degrees. And so normal range for a lumbar lordosis is 50 to 60 degrees with an average of 55 degrees. And this one is measuring 70. Again, we're measuring the angle right here. And this one happens to measure 70 degrees. This concludes page 4 of our structural analysis. I hope you have a good evening.